Hi, my name is Dr. Megan Parkin and I'm here today to talk to you about relaxing. The relax session is one of the 4 pillars. The 4 pillars is a concept about health which looks at 4 different areas which you can optimize in order to increase your well-being and optimize your health. The 4 areas are move, eat, sleep, and relax. They've all of an equal importance, so it doesn't matter how perfectly you're exercising or how perfectly you're eating. If you're not sleeping properly and you're not spending any time relaxing, you may well find your health and well-being is affected. All these sessions are based on a book by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee called The 4 Pillars. And the information we discussed today is based on that, but there will be more information in the book if you're interested in learning more. So the very first question to ask you about relaxing is kind of the opposite of relaxing. Why is stress bad for you? I want you to just have a little think about this and kind of come up with some ideas about why you think stress might be bad, generally, but also bad for you personally. Okay, so reasons why stress might be bad. The very first thing is it affects your sleep. So if you're having poor sleep, it may well be that you're stressed. And stress definitely causes poor sleep. One of the other things we know is that stress is very much associated with weight gain. And that can really affect people. So people can be trying really hard to diet or to lose weight, but because they're leading such stressful lives, their efforts are constantly counteracted by their body's response to trying to manage the stress. You also can feel really tired when you're stressed, and we know that low mood is very closely associated with stress. So when people are feeling stressed, they often start to feel down, and it can have a huge impact on their perception of themselves and also others around them. And it can certainly lead to depression if it goes on for long enough. One of the feelings that a lot of people describe when I first say to them, well, why is stress bad, is they talk about this feeling that you can't cope. So things that perhaps they normally otherwise would have easily been able to deal with suddenly feel unmanageable and completely like they just can't quite cope with it. This is one of the key things that a lot of people first notice about with stress. We also know that stress really affects your concentration. And when stress affects your concentration, it makes it much more difficult to achieve the things you normally would easily be able to do. And when we look at longer term impacts of stress, we know that it's really closely linked with high blood pressure, and this can have really significant impacts on your health in the long term. So, as a counteracting to why stress is bad, why do you think that relaxing might be good for you? Just have a little think about it. Think about your own personal lives. How do you feel when you actually have a nice time and feel really relaxed? What benefits do you see with that? But also think about more generally, how do you feel when you relax? How does it make you feel? Okay, so one of the key reasons most people say is it makes them feel happier. People genuinely feel happier when they've spent time relaxing, doing things they enjoy. We also know on a more sort of body level that it makes your immune system stronger. So those people that are not stressed all the time generally have stronger immune responses and are able to fight off infections better. Have you ever been in that situation where you've worked really, really hard all term or for a long period of time and you have a holiday and all of a sudden you get ill? That's often because when the body suddenly starts to relax, the immune system is having to fight off all the infections it's previously been unable to manage. We know concentration improves and sleep improves when you relax, and both of those things in turn will lead to feeling much better about yourself and generally better all round. You also can digest your food much better when you're relaxed. When you're stressed, certain hormones are released, and those hormones counteract the body's ability to digest food. So sometimes feelings of bloatedness or tummy pains, discomfort, or irritable bowel syndrome can all be associated with stress. And this is because of the impact the body is having on itself when it's feeling stressed. Next question to ask you is, what does to relax mean? What do you think it means? It will mean different things to each person, but what I'd like you to do now is just spend a bit of time either talking with somebody or jotting down the things that you think relaxing means to you. Well, relaxing means different things to different people. what one person might find an incredibly relaxing activity, another one may find incredibly stressful. One of the most important things when you think about relaxing is about not feeling stressed, not feeling wound up, not thinking, I've got to get this done, I must achieve this right now. Most people associate feeling happy and calm when they're relaxed. So those are the things you really need to think about. Are these lists that I've made of things that I find relaxing, is that what it makes me feel? Or are they things that I'm writing down because I feel I should be writing them down? So just have a think about that and think about what truly means relaxing means to you. The next thing I want you to think about is what sort of things can cause you stress. Now, this question is a really personal question, so have a think about it. It may be something you want to discuss with other people, it may not. Sometimes being really honest to ourselves about what causes us stress can be really, really helpful and allow us to manage things that possibly don't need to be stressful situations. Personally, I know that one of the things I find stressful is if I'm running late. But actually, when I think about it, most of the time, does it actually matter? And am I actually running late? I very rarely ever turn up late anywhere because I'm so worried about it. But I suspect it is a stress that's induced by myself that actually, if I could take that away, I would feel generally much more relaxed. So some of the stresses that we have are possibly internal that we bring on ourselves. Some of them are very much external. Difficulties with workplace, pressure at work, pressure at school, possibly responsibilities we have to other people, possibly things that we put on ourselves that we feel we must do when perhaps we don't need to. There are so many different stresses and things will be feel differently to different people. So why is stress bad for you? It might be worthwhile just stopping the video now and just having a think about why you think stress might be bad for you. The main reason stress is bad for you is the body thinks it's under attack when it's stressed. When we get stressed, we trigger the same response that our ancestors triggered when they saw a saber-toothed tiger running up to come and eat them. What we do is we release large quantities of a hormone called cortisol. When the cortisol fires off, it starts making us feel ready to fight anything or to run away. Adrenaline is also released at this time. We can feel our heart pounding, we can feel our senses really alert, and we're ready to go and either run as fast as we can or have a fight. Now, the problem that we have is that our bodies haven't learnt the difference between a saber-toothed tiger coming up to us and getting stuck in traffic. So if we're stuck in traffic, we release the same sort of response as we did thousands and thousands of years ago. So consequently, what that means is that now, because of our societies now have got many things we feel is stressful and trigger stress responses, most of us will be triggering a stress response multiple times a day. Now, the reason this is bad is this stress response prepares your body to get ready, to fight or to flight. And when your body gets ready to flight or to fight, it starts diverting your blood flow away from unnecessary things and focusing your body's attention on the necessary things, i.e., either to run or to fight. So, what that means is our digestive system isn't focused on, our immune system isn't focused on, and lots of our other sort of more day-to-day systems aren't focused on. The key thing is getting ready to go run away. So consequently, constantly being in a state of stress leads you to have a reduced immune system, but also a reduced digestive system, which very certainly can lead to weight gain. There's definitely been shown to be a link between many illnesses and prolonged stress. Illnesses like diabetes, Alzheimer's, and other autoimmune conditions have been shown to be possibly linked to having stress. So what we know is that if we can try and manage this stress in a better way, we can hopefully reduce our chances of developing these conditions. The other thing to bear in mind is that cortisol is made out of the same building blocks as our other hormones. The key hormones that we were thinking about that affect us quite day to day are our sex hormones. So this is things like estrogen and progesterone for a woman, and testosterone as well for a woman, but testosterone for a man. When you end up with low levels of testosterone, it has a huge impact on your energy levels and your but also importantly on your sex drive. And so consequently, if you're finding that you're feeling tired, sluggish, and just not really yourself most of the time, it could be that you've got low levels of some of your sex hormones. And by managing your stress better and perhaps focusing on relaxing more, you'll be able to boost those levels because you'll be able to boost the availability of the building blocks that are needed to build them. So it just shows you how much of an impact stress has on your whole body, and that actually managing stress effectively can make a huge, huge difference to your overall health. So, next question is, how can I relax? Now, I want you to have a think about this. Think about how you think you might be able to relax. And then I'm going to give you some ideas that you might want to try, but might not work for you. So, it's about trying to find out what works for you. So, I've got 5 suggestions that you could try. There are loads of other ones, and you just have to find out what works for you. But the very first suggestion I have is to think about trying to reduce your screen time. Screens, phones, ways of connecting, social media are fantastic for many, many reasons. They allow us to stay connected, they allow us to be much more efficient in our day-to-day lives, but they do come at a cost. Has anyone ever had that feeling of constantly needing to have their phone right next to them so they're able to be contacted by everybody and anyone, and then almost beginning to resent that feeling that everyone can get at you at any time? Or have you ever felt the pressure of needing to look at your social media account or post something, or comparing yourself to other people from what they've put on there? All of these, I would say, are fairly negative impacts of screens. And they don't even begin to deal with the challenges that can come with bullying and things like that through using screens and the constant availability of people on screens. Most of us have our emails on our screens, our work emails on our screens, and so constantly can be contacted any time, day or night, and find it very, very difficult to switch off. So one of the simple things you can do if you're trying to reduce your screen time is simply switch off your notifications. So every time a work email comes in, you don't get alerted. Every time someone posts on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram, you don't get alerted. You can also remove apps, so you actually have to log into things in order to see them. This can be really helpful. Sometimes it can be a question of putting your phone somewhere else just for a couple of hours, or maybe even only an hour to start off with, and then gradually working up to having more time without your screen. Most people find when they do this, they suddenly start feeling far more present in the moment and more connected with those around them. Because we know one of the big difficulties with screens is that if your attention is diverted to a small box that you're looking at, you're less likely to be aware of those around you. Switching it off at night can also be really, really helpful, in particular on your sleep, but also in your ability to relax and switch off. I appreciate reducing screen time is a really big challenge for a lot of people, but it's definitely something to really consider. And I think there's very few of us that couldn't benefit from trying to reduce our screen time somewhat. The next suggestion is spending 15 minutes of me time every day. Most of us get up in the mornings and rush around and do things for other people all day, whether it be in work, challenges at home, doing homework, focusing on other people and not necessarily and focusing on tasks we think we should do rather than thinking about actually what might be helpful for us to do. There's very few people that manage to spend a small amount of time every day just doing something they enjoy without a screen. So what I would suggest is you try and spend 15 minutes a day just doing something that you enjoy just for yourself, but the key thing is it has to be without a screen. So whether that might be reading a book, doing a hobby that you enjoy, or it might be something like listening to some music. The whole idea is that you get completely immersed into it and lose track of time, so that you get into a completely relaxed state. This can be so, so helpful, particularly for people that lead really busy lives, and just trying to do this one thing a day can make a big difference. The next thing is slightly different from that. It's sitting down to eat with people. When you sit down to eat with people, you instantly tend to become more relaxed and you start enjoying their company. Making sure that phones aren't at the table and that you can focus on one another is really, really helpful. It's been shown that spending time chatting with other people and relaxing with other people and connecting has a huge impact on your mood and helps lift your mood and makes you feel more valued as a person. We know that people who are having social connection every day with people generally feel much, much happier. It also can be helpful because it will make you more mindful about what you're eating if you're sharing it with other people, and so you're possibly less likely to overeat. The next thing to think about is being thankful for something every day. There have been studies which show that focusing on positives for just 10 minutes a day can reduce depression and overall improve people's satisfaction in life. There are loads of different ways you can do this, and you have to find one that works for you. Some people find having a conversation with other people in their family about positives each day is a good thing to do. Other people prefer to share it less and write it down on their own, maybe in a journal, or possibly just write it down each night before they go to bed, or even just think it over. It doesn't have to be committed to paper or said out loud. Some people like to think, what 3 good things have happened today? Other people might think different sorts of questions. So one question you could ask is, what have I done to make someone else happy today? Or what's someone done to make me happy today? Or what have I learned today? It really doesn't matter what these things are, but it's just about getting into a pattern of focusing on the positives each day. And ideally, if you can spend nearly 10 minutes doing this, that's helpful. One of the great things of talking about other people about it is you hear about their positives as well, and that can only increase your well-being. The final thing to talk about is spending 5 minutes being still every single day. This can be really, really challenging for people. Some people like to meditate, some people use mindfulness, but for a lot of people, the thought of being completely still and completely quiet fills them almost with dread. There are loads of different apps you can try. Some people find apps like Calm helpful or Headspace helpful. Other people just find it doesn't suit them at all. One way to do it is to be by trying to focus on your breathing. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share 2 breathing exercises with you, which can help you get into that calm, still state. There's been lots of evidence that show being in this calm, still state has a real benefit on your overall stress levels. You can try doing it when you're feeling stressed, but for most people, it'd be better to try and spend a different point of time each day doing it, just to try and carve out that time and make sure you do it on a regular basis. So the 2 breathing exercises are slightly different. The reason for doing slightly different breathing exercises is different exercises suit different people. They're both exercises that focus on trying to shift from your sympathetic nervous system, so your flight and fight nervous system, the one that gets you stressed and ready to run or fight, into your parasympathetic nervous system. Your parasympathetic nervous system is the relaxed system, the one that allows things like digestion to occur and sleep to occur. Those things aren't allowed to occur properly when you're in the sympathetic nervous system, as your body needs to be primed, ready to escape. So it's really important to be able to try and shift yourself from one into the other to allow you to feel relaxed. It can aid with sleep enormously, but also during the day, and can be really, really helpful, particularly for those who have stressful lives, to just spend a couple of minutes trying to relax in a very focused way. And breathing can really do that. So the first breathing exercise is called 3-4-5 breathing. The idea of this exercise is that you breathe in for 3 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds, and then you breathe out for 5 seconds. You keep repeating this for approximately 2 minutes. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through these exercises with you. So if you're ready, we're going to start by doing this breathing exercise. I will talk you through it by saying in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll keep repeating that for 2 minutes until we get to the end. Like I said, you might feel slightly lightheaded while you're doing it. Just make sure you're sat down and feeling comfortable. Okay, if you're ready. In, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so how did that make you feel? Some people might feel a bit lightheaded from it. Other people feel really nice and relaxed. And some people really struggle with it and it just doesn't suit them. Because of that, we're going to try a different type of breathing exercise called box breathing. Box breathing works in a similar way, but it's a slightly different pattern of breathing. And for some people, it just suits them slightly better. So here we go with box breathing. Okay, if you're ready. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. How did the box breathing make you feel? Do you feel more relaxed now? Or did you prefer the 3, 4, 5 breathing? Like I said, everyone will have a particular preference, and for some people it may not suit them. There's loads of different other ways you can think about being still, things you could try doing. So you could try some Tai Chi or some yoga with some slow sort of poses in them. You could try just to sit outside and just listen to the sounds you can hear outside. Or even just take a walk, although you're not being still. If you're really focused on what's going on around you rather than thinking about things, that's the key thing. Sometimes people find just spending time sat with a pet on their lap really, really helpful. And like we mentioned before, there are multiple meditation apps which can all be helpful. Some people find listening to music in a quiet room the most relaxing thing, and that can be a really good gateway into trying to be still for those people that really struggle without a particular focus. Or doing some very just gentle stretching can be really helpful. Although you're not physically being still, if you're focused on what you're doing, that's the key. We've obviously talked lots of different things about relaxing. One of the key things that I would try and get across to everybody is that actually making time to relax is really, really important. And that actually our stress hormones are really fighting against us. And so, really trying to keep them in check is really, really helpful as far as feeling well. And if you're ever starting to feel tired and sluggish and like you can't cope with things, just try and think about it and just try and take a little bit of time out to try and relax. It's very easy to feel pressured in our day-to-day lives that we must be constantly doing things. But actually, we don't need to be constantly doing things. We need to think about doing things that we enjoy doing the things we need to do, but also making sure there's time in between to properly relax and take time ourselves. I hope you've enjoyed the session today. Please join me for one of the other 4 pillars sessions. Thank you.